What happens when a simple morning show interview turns into a live TV meltdown between two of the most recognizable names in America? It starts normal, looks harmless, and then flips into something no producer could have prepared for. If you think you've seen awkward interviews before, this one makes them all look tame. Before we dive in, subscribe and comment your guess. Did Charlie snap first, or did Michael push him too far? Because once you see how this begins, you won't believe where it ends. The show opens on Good Morning America, bright lights cutting across the stage, the audience settling in with coffee cups and that familiar morning buzz. Michael Strahan sits at his desk, wearing his trademark smile, the warm, steady one millions trust on weekday mornings. He shuffles his cards, looks toward the entrance, and the announcer calls out the guest. Charlie Sheen steps out, dressed sharp, posture controlled, expression unreadable. The applause is polite but curious, the kind audiences give when they don't know which version of someone they're about to get. Charlie shakes Michael's hand and sits. For the first few seconds, everything is exactly what you'd expect. From a morning show, a friendly welcome, a quick, "Thanks for being here," a small nod from Charlie. But something in Michael's eyes says he's not planning to keep this surface level for long. He leans in, not aggressively, but with that subtle, "I'm going somewhere" energy every seasoned host has. "So, Charlie, we haven't heard much from you in a while. Is this the new you, or are things just quiet before another storm?" The room shifts. It's slight, but real. Charlie's jaw moves just enough to show he heard the challenge underneath the polite tone. He lets out a short laugh that doesn't match the smile on his face. "New version. Michael, I'm the same guy. The only thing that's changed is people aren't twisting every word I say into a headline." Michael's smile stays on, but his eyebrows go up. "That's interesting. A lot of people would say you gave the world plenty to react to." And just like that, the temperature drops. Charlie's posture stiffens. The audience senses it too. Something is building, slowly but unmistakably. What started as a simple back and forth is already shifting into something sharper. You can see it in Charlie's posture, in Michael's tone, and in the way the audience suddenly sits a little straighter. The tension doesn't explode yet, but it tightens like a rope being pulled from both ends. Charlie adjusts his sleeves, leans back slightly, and fires his first real return shot. Wild moments? Sure, but you know what people forget? Pressure isn't pretty. Cameras in your face aren't pretty. Having every stumble replayed like a highlight reel isn't pretty. Everyone acts like I invented having a bad year. He pauses, then adds, with a pointed eyebrow lift, "You ever have a rough patch, Michael?" The question hits the desk with weight. It's bold, it's aggressive. It's the kind of line that instantly flips who's being interviewed and who's being interrogated. Michael wasn't expecting that. His smile freezes. His eyes flicker. Not fear, but surprise. The audience reacts with a low ripple of nervous murmurs. "Well," Michael says carefully, "everyone goes through tough moments. But Charlie, back then, you weren't just struggling. You were making some pretty loud declarations. Tiger blood, winning, all of that. A lot of people thought you were going through something serious." Charlie's smile disappears entirely now. The room feels colder. "Oh, right, bold claims. You know what's funny? People say they want honesty until you actually give it to them. Then suddenly you're crazy, unstable, out of control. I wasn't lying about what I felt. I wasn't performing for anyone. I was just honest in a way that made people uncomfortable." Michael folds his hands, trying to ground himself in the conversation. "Okay, fair. But let's be real, Charlie. You lost your job. You lost a lot of money. People around you were worried. Looking back, do you think you could have handled anything differently?" Charlie crosses his arms and lets that question sit between them. "Maybe," he says. "But here's what I think about more. All the people who made millions talking about me, writing about me, turning every moment into content. Where's their reflection? Where's their apology? Because my mistakes paid everyone's bills for years. The audience goes silent. The interview has slipped into something else. Entirely. No longer professional, no longer predictable. It's becoming personal. By now, the air in the studio feels tight enough to snap. Every sentence lands heavier. Every look carries an edge. Neither man is yelling, but the calm tone somehow makes everything feel even more dangerous. Michael clears his throat, trying to regain control of the room. Charlie, I don't think anyone was trying to profit off your struggles. People were concerned. Your friends, your colleagues. Charlie cuts him off with a sharp chuckle that holds zero humor. Concerned? Is that what we're calling it now? Because from where I was sitting, it looked a whole lot like entertainment. Like a crowd gathering around to watch a bonfire they didn't have to put out. He leans forward, eyes locked on Michael. And now that I'm sitting here calm and collected, suddenly everyone wants to play therapist and ask if I've learned my lesson. Tell me, Michael, have you learned anything about how this industry treats people? Michael's friendly host persona finally cracks. His smile tightens. His shoulders stiffen. Hold on, he says, voice controlled but strained. I'm not attacking you. I'm asking questions people want to know. That's part of my job. Charlie's eyes darken. Your job, right? Your job is to sit in that comfortable chair and ask people about the worst chapters of their lives under the banner of concern. Tell me, Michael, have you ever had the entire world waiting for you to mess up again just so they can get another headline? Michael's jaw tenses. He tries to keep the tone steady. I've had tough interviews. I've faced personal questions on national TV. But we're not here to talk about me. You agreed to this interview. You came here today to talk about your career and where you are now. Charlie's expression hardens. I agreed because I thought maybe, just maybe, we could have a real conversation instead of this pre-scripted performance where you pretend to care while hunting for that perfect viral moment. The audience shifts uncomfortably. A few people exchange glances. Michael inhales deeply. That's not fair, Charlie. I've always treated my guests with respect. But respect goes both ways. You can't come on here and throw accusations at me like this. Charlie gives a cold laugh. Respect goes both ways. Interesting, coming from someone who's made a career out of packaging other people's pain. The room freezes. The line has been crossed, whether intentionally or not, and neither man is backing down. At this point, the interview isn't just tense, it's unraveling. The smiles are gone. The filter is gone. And every new sentence feels like it could push things past the point of no return. Michael exhales through his nose, trying to steady himself. His next words come out with a careful firmness. Charlie, that's completely unfair. I ask difficult questions, yes, but I don't exploit people. I don't tear anyone down. And the fact that you're attacking me, personally, because I'm doing my job, that says more about what's going on with you than anything else. That line lands like a punch. The audience gasps. Charlie's eyes widen for a split second, then narrow. Where I'm at mentally, Charlie repeats, voice quiet but cutting. There it is. The magic phrase. The second I push back, the second I don't follow your script, I'm suddenly unstable again. Isn't that convenient? Michael raises his hand slightly. I didn't say you were unstable. Don't twist my words. Charlie slices through the sentence. You questioned my mental state on live television. Own it. Don't try to wiggle out of it. Michael's voice rises. Not yelling, but tense. I said your behavior right now says something about where you're at. And honestly, you're being hostile, you're being aggressive, and I'm trying to keep this conversation respectful. That's the moment Charlie stands up. He doesn't rip his mic off. He doesn't storm away. He simply rises from his chair, towering over the desk, steady, controlled, but furious. The room fills with sharp breaths and shifting seats. Michael stays seated. For a moment, jaw tight, then stands as well so he's level with Charlie. Oh, I'm hostile? Charlie says, staring him down. You're upset because I'm not playing along with the act. For once, someone's calling this whole setup what it really is. A circus. Michael steps forward just a little, his voice low. If it's such a circus, Charlie, then why are you here? Seriously, why sit in that chair if you have such a problem with this show? Charlie's answer comes instantly, the words born from a place deeper than anger. Because I thought you were different. I thought maybe this time I'd be treated like a human being instead of a cautionary tale. The audience is completely silent now. No whispers, no movement, just the weight of two men standing inches apart, and something dangerous simmering between them. By now, both men are standing, neither willing to back down. The interview setup, desk, chairs, cameras, has turned into a stage for something raw and unpredictable. Everyone in the room can feel that whatever happens next will decide how this moment lives online forever. Michael spreads his hands slightly, addressing not just Charlie, but the entire studio. Let's be honest here. I asked about your past. That's what interviews are. You want me to skip over the parts people remember? You want me to pretend those years didn't happen? This isn't about disrespect. This is about context. Charlie points at him, voice tight. No. What you want is a confession. You want me to sit here and say I was out of control, admit I was a wreck, and cry on cue so you can sell a redemption arc. But I don't owe you that, and I'm not performing that part for you. The crowd reacts with a mix of shock and tension. Michael's face hardens. Charlie, this isn't about a performance. This is reality. You came on this show knowing people would ask hard questions. And now you're acting like the victim because I'm not giving you a softball segment. Charlie laughs, dry, bitter. Reality? Nothing about this is real. Not the smiles, not the questions, not the concern. You've got producers in your ear, cameras in your face, and a script in front of you. And you're telling me to be real? Michael takes a step forward. The only one turning this into a spectacle right now is you. Nobody backed you into a corner. Nobody forced you to react like this. Charlie steps closer too, only inches now between them. You want to know why I'm reacting like this? Because for years, every network, every outlet, every person with a microphone turned my worst moments into entertainment. And the second, I don't sit here politely while you recycle those same moments, I'm labeled difficult. Michael fires back. You think you're the only one who's been judged? You think I don't know what it's like to have every word analyzed? The difference is I don't blame the entire world for it. A murmur ripples through the room. Charlie's eyes sharpen. Because you've never been where I was. You think scrutiny is the same as being the punchline of a global joke? You don't get to compare. Michael's voice cracks slightly, not with fear, but frustration. And you don't get to assume you know my entire life because of a few headlines. The two men stare at each other, breathing heavy, both refusing to blink first. The interview has officially crossed into territory no producer wants, but no viewer can look away from. The moment you think they might pause, they don't. The confrontation keeps peeling back layers, turning an interview into something closer to a confession booth where neither man wants to be the first to surrender. Charlie looks at Michael with a stare that carries 10 years of resentment. You know what the worst part is? I came here ready to talk about what I'm doing now. The work, the projects, the future. But the second you started digging up the old stories, I knew exactly what this was. Michael presses his lips together, trying to hold the line. That's not what I wanted, Charlie. I brought up the past because that's part of your story, and people want to know how you've grown since then. Charlie shakes his head slowly. No, people want the greatest hits of my failures. They want the downfall, the chaos, the meltdowns. They want the version of me that made headlines, not the one who's been rebuilding his life. You're not asking about who I am. You're asking about who I used to be. Michael lets out a controlled breath. Then why didn't you say that? Why didn't you tell me before we went live that you wanted to focus on the present? Charlie finally sits back down, not in defeat, but in exhaustion. The anger doesn't fade, but something heavier appears beneath it. Because I thought I could handle it. I thought enough time had passed. I thought I could hear those questions without feeling like I was right back in the middle of it. His voice cracks for the first time. Not dramatically, but in a way that feels real. Michael's expression softens slightly, the adrenaline beginning to settle. Look, I don't want this to be the moment people remember. I don't want us standing over this desk yelling at each other. Sit down, Charlie. Let's try again. There's a long pause. Charlie hesitates, looks at the audience, then at Michael. Finally, he lowers himself back into the chair, though his posture is still rigid. I don't know if I can pretend everything's fine. Michael sits too, his tone gentler. I'm not asking you to pretend. I'm asking you to talk to me. Really talk. No pressure, no trying to create a moment. Just speak as yourself. Charlie rubs his hands together, eyes distant. You want to know the truth? I'm tired, Michael. Tired of every word being judged. Tired of feeling like I'm standing in front of a firing squad every time a microphone turns on. For the first time, the tension shifts, not disappearing, but transforming into something raw and human. The anger has cracked open into something else, something quieter, heavier, almost uncomfortable in its honesty. What started as a confrontation is now sliding into the kind of vulnerability that morning TV almost never captures. Michael leans forward, not as a host now, but as a person trying to understand. I hear you, he says softly. And maybe I handled this the wrong way. Maybe I should have started with where you are now instead of jumping back into the past. Charlie lets out a slow exhale, the kind that sounds like it's been trapped in his chest for years. You know what it felt like when everything blew up back then? It felt like being trapped in a glass box with millions of people tapping on the outside. Every mistake I made, every word I said, every expression on my face, it all became a headline. It wasn't concern. It wasn't compassion. It was a spectacle. Michael nods, his voice steady. I won't argue with you there. The media attention around you was intense. Too intense, and you're right, some people did turn it into entertainment. Charlie's eyes lift, surprised by the honesty. But, Michael continues, you also fed into it. You gave those interviews. You said things that were bound to go viral. You can't act like you had no part in the whirlwind. Charlie's expression sharpens. Not angry, but wrestling with the truth. So you're saying it's my fault? Michael shakes his head. No, I'm saying it's complicated. Not all your fault. Not all the media's fault. Somewhere in the middle is the real story. Charlie sits with that. It's the first thing Michael has said that doesn't feel like a jab. Finally, Charlie speaks in a quieter tone. Do you know why I got so defensive? Because I came here wanting to talk about the work I'm doing now. New projects, new life. But the moment you opened with the past, it felt like a reminder that no matter how much I change, I'll always be defined by my worst season. Michael softens even more. Then let's fix that. Right now, start fresh. What do you want people to know? What do you want to say? Charlie isn't angry anymore. He's tired, reflective, raw. I want them to know I'm still here, still creating, still figuring things out. I'm not the guy from those chaotic headlines, but I'm also not pretending that guy never existed. The audience sits frozen, not out of fear this time, but because they're witnessing something rare. Real vulnerability. With the shouting gone, the room feels strangely still. The tension has thinned, but in its place is something even more gripping. Two people trying to navigate the wreckage of a conversation that went completely off the rails. Michael sits back, finally letting his posture relax. That's fair, he says. More than fair. And honestly, I think people want to hear that from you. Not a PR version, not a comeback speech, just the truth. Charlie runs a hand through his hair. He looks less like the explosive headline figure and more like someone who's been carrying a weight too heavy for too long. The truth is, he begins slowly, I'm tired of those old stories being treated like my entire identity. I've worked. I've grown. I've tried to heal. But every interview, every article, every conversation starts with the same greatest hits of my worst days. Michael nods. I get that, and I get why that feels unfair. But you've also got to understand that when someone disappears for a while, people want to know what happened. It's not always criticism. Sometimes it's curiosity. Charlie shrugs. Curiosity is fine, but it always starts the same way. Remember when you melted down? Remember when you said this? Remember when you lost that? It doesn't feel like curiosity. It feels like being put back on trial every time. Michael looks down for a moment, then back up. You're right, and maybe I misread how to approach this. Maybe I thought joking about the past would break the ice, but I didn't consider how deep those wounds still are. Charlie lets out a breath that softens his shoulders. I didn't think I'd react like this either. I thought I was past it. I thought time had given me thick enough skin to laugh it off. But when you brought it up, it felt like I was right back in that storm. It's not your fault. It's just the reality of how it hit me. Michael's voice turned sincere, almost gentle. I appreciate you saying that. And, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. Truly. This conversation didn't go the way either of us expected, and I didn't want to trigger anything that still hurts. Charlie looks genuinely taken aback. You're apologizing? On live TV? Michael nods without hesitation. Yeah, because it's the right thing to do. And for the first time, Charlie's expression softens into something that looks like relief. The confrontation has burned itself out. What remains now is the quiet after the storm. Two men trying to figure out how to step through the aftermath without breaking what little peace they've found. Charlie blinks, still processing the apology. I didn't expect that, he admits. I came here ready for a fight. I thought that's what this was going to be. Attack, defend, repeat. Michael offers a small, almost tired smile. Well, we definitely had that part. No doubt about it. The audience chuckles softly. The first moment of lightness in what feels like ages. Charlie exhales. So what do we do now? Just pretend none of that happened? Go back to the scripted questions about my new project? Michael shakes his head. No, I don't think anyone watching would buy that. And honestly, I think something real happened here. Messy, sure, but real. Charlie considers that. I don't know how to talk about my life without feeling judged, he says. Every time I open my mouth, I'm afraid someone's going to twist it, or clip it, or turn it into a joke. Michael leans forward with a calmer energy. Then don't talk to me right now, he says. Talk to them, the people watching. Not the critics, not the bloggers, the actual people. Charlie hesitates, then turns slightly toward the camera. He doesn't straighten his posture or try to look perfect. He just speaks. I want people to know I'm still trying, he says. I'm still working. I'm still creating. I'm still learning how to be better than I was. I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be. But I'm not the headline version of myself either. The room is still. Charlie continues. I'm tired of being defined by the worst years of my life. I'm tired of pretending those years didn't shape me. I'm tired of feeling like I have to apologize for being human. Michael listens, genuinely moved. That, he says quietly, is the kind of honesty people needed to hear. Charlie turns back to him. Maybe, or maybe people just wanted the drama. Michael shakes his head. No, if they only wanted the drama, they would have tuned out once the yelling stopped. But they're still here. Charlie's expression softens. Yeah, maybe you're right. For the first time in the entire interview, they share an unguarded moment of mutual respect. What started as a simple morning interview turned into a full-blown clash, then into an unexpected moment of honesty. But now comes the question everyone in the room and everyone watching at home is asking, how does this end? Michael folds, his hands on the desk, taking a slow breath as the dust settles between them. Charlie, he says gently, I want to be clear about something. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to drag you back into the past. I just wanted to understand. You, the real you. Maybe I didn't approach it the right way, but that was the intent. Charlie nods slowly. I know, and I shouldn't have come in here expecting the worst. I guess I'm still learning how to trust these kinds of conversations again. Michael tilts his head. Then let this be the first step. Not a perfect one, but a real one. Charlie lets out a quiet laugh, not bitter this time, but almost relieved. You know, I spent years thinking that every interview was a setup, a trap, something designed to break me down or turn me into a headline again. Michael replies softly, and today wasn't that. Today was two people trying, sometimes failing, to meet each other in the middle. Charlie nods again, then extends a hand across the desk. Then let's call it what it is. A messy start, but an honest moment. Michael shakes his hand firmly. The crowd applauds, not loudly, but sincerely. They both take their seats again as the camera zooms out slightly. Michael turns to the audience and viewers. Well, I think we all witnessed something unexpected today. It wasn't the interview anyone planned. Not us, not Charlie, probably not any of you watching at home. But maybe it was the conversation that needed to happen. He glances back at Charlie with a small smile. We're going to wrap it here. But before we do, Charlie, anything you want to say to the people who followed your journey? Charlie looks into the camera. Calm, steady, no performance. I just want people to know I'm still here, still fighting, still growing, and I hope, maybe, now, people can see more than just the headlines. The audience gives a warm, respectful round of applause. Michael finishes the segment. So, what did you just witness? Was it a clash? A breakthrough? A rare moment of honesty on live TV? Tell us in the comments below, because this conversation is far from over. The show fades to commercial. The room exhales, and the moment becomes one that millions will replay, debate, and remember.